Hey Puppy Trades! In this video, we're going to go over some competition that Yieldmax has. Yes, Yieldmax has some competition. Bitwise has essentially come out and made a copycat suite of ETFs for MicroStrategy, Coinbase, and Marathon Patent Group synthetic covered call ETFs. Now, we don't know what the distribution rate on these ETFs are going to be, but we do know so far the performance, and we're going to get into the performance of these ETFs because so far Bitwise appears to have created a large improvement on Yieldmax's ETFs. We're going to get into the facts, man, just the facts of what Yieldmax investors like me need to know. So this is not investment advice for anyone. It's just my personal investing notes. I've noticed a interesting anomaly, and so we're going to look at a time frame from April 3rd to May 9th. So not that long, just over a month of data. But this data is very intriguing. We're going to get into it right now. Yieldmax and Bitwise both have out-of-the-money synthetic covered call ETFs where what they're doing is they're buying an at-the-money call, they're selling an at-the-money put, and then they're using that 100 delta exposure to sell out-of-the-money covered calls. So we can see right here that it appears they're using the 390 put and the 390 call to get their 100 delta, and then they're selling out of the money calls on MicroStrategy. So this ETF is very interesting. We're going to get into what they're doing in this position, and we're going to get into the performance mostly. So let's get straight into the presentation. And we're going to get into how I'm investing based on this information. There are a few things I need to consider with this new fund risk. So Yieldmax has new competition from Bitwise. What I need to know, presented by Puppy Trades. Again, this is not investment advice, and I am not a certified financial advisor. This is my own personal research for my own personal investing. So right here is pretty interesting. ICOI, the out of the money covered call ETF from Bitwise, is doubling the performance of CONY, the out of the money covered call ETF from Yieldmax. ICOI has a total return of 14.78%. CONY has a total return of 6.56%, and that includes the dividends. We can see an interesting anomaly right now that Bitwise's ETF is actually outperforming Coinbase itself. ICOI has a total return of 14.78%. Coinbase has a total return of 8.95%. So that's very interesting because it's not the same with MicroStrategy. One really interesting aspect of this is that ICOI can be paired with fiat, it appears, for a positive total return and a very high dividend. Right now, fiat, which is the short option income strategy on Coinbase, is yielding around 104%, which is extremely high. And the fact that it could be potentially paired with ICOI for a positive total return is very intriguing. It's very, very intriguing that these two ETFs can be paired together. Why? Because this would be a delta neutral trade. One is running out of the money synthetic covered calls to the upside. The other one is running synthetic short puts to the downside. So together they can make a delta neutral trade. And at least in a bull market, this appears to be a positive total return with a massive, massive dividend yield on a very volatile stock. Now here's something that's very interesting. IMST is destroying MSTY. Yes, IMST is destroying MSTY. IMST has a total return of 28.3%. MSTY only has a total return of 14.79%. and this total return includes dividends. So IMST is so far a better ETF than MSTY, at least just based on this one-ish month of performance history. So that's very interesting. Another thing that's very interesting is while Coinbase does not outperform ICOI, MSTR does outperform IMST. IMST has a total return of 28.3%. MicroStrategy has a total return of 33.11%. That's very interesting because MicroStrategy and WNTR could potentially be paired together for a positive total return and a dividend yield of about 46 to 48%. We'll look into the actual numbers on this side, but we could see potentially unlimited upside from MicroStrategy and then a hedge and a massive dividend from WNTR to the downside. Very intriguing information, of course. The conclusion, MSTR and WNTR can be paired together for a 6.78% total return and a 48.17% dividend yield. ICOI and fiat can be paired together for a 5.95% total return and an unknown but likely much higher than 52% dividend yield. ICOI outperforms Coinbase itself, which is odd and needs to be monitored because ICOI is supposed to be capped to the upside. The new fund risk from Bitwise appears to be worth it, and there's outperformance from a total return perspective across the board.